So, UFC 296 Edwards vs Covington takes place this weekend, and I'm going to be going through the entire card, starting with the first prelim, ending with the main event, and giving my full card predictions and breakdown for every single matchup on this pay-per-view card. We start off with the first prelim, or the early prelim opener, Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikhov. We got Rude Boy versus the King of Kung Fu, so I'm going to have to go with Randy Brown on the nickname side of things. Much better nickname. Also, we got a lanky Jamaican versus a Russian with a receding hairline. You got to go with the lanky Jamaican. Also, this guy's name is Muslim. Like, okay, if you're Muslim, you don't have to name yourself Muslim. Like, if you're Christian, you don't have to name yourself Christian. If you're Jewish, you don't have to name yourself Jewish. Like, come on, man. Let's quit this shit. But this guy, Randy Brown's coming off a win over Budget Pereira, which I thought could have gone the other way. Before that, he got chinned by Jack Della Maddalena, wonky nose. Salikhov just lost to an old Danish man, and before that, he chinned Fialio, who's a bum. But before that, he got chinned by a Chinese person. So it's tough for Salikhov. He's like 38 or something, getting out of his prime. Never really been that good. He had a bit of hype for him at some point because he had like a cool, flashy striking style. But ultimately, I don't think his striking is all that. He has a striking base, so he's not going to go to the grappling to great effect. Randy Brown has an 8-inch reach advantage, which is going to be extremely useful here. I think he's just going to keep Muslim Salikhov on the end of his punches, just pop him at range. Could play it really safe and just jab and low kick and stuff like that, but I think he is going to really, once he gets the rhythm, once he starts feeling his range, he's going to start putting a lot more output on Salikhov, who's going to need to rush in and try and come in to close the distance to try and land something because it's going to be getting frustrated. Brown should be able to avoid the takedown attempts if he does shoot. But I'm going to go with Randy Brown by UD 29-28. I could see Salikhov, who's got some power, I could see him landing a shot, winning one of the rounds. Maybe holding Randy Brown up against the cage for a round. But I do see Randy Brown using his reach advantage to great effect. I could see him getting a finish. I am going to go with UD. In his last couple fights, when he wins, it's typically by decision. He's not like some major power puncher, but because he's so lanky, he could just be catching Salikhov on the end of his shots as Salikhov tries to disengage. But I'm going to go with the decision. 29-28 unanimous for Randy Brown. The next fight on the card, Martin Buday versus Shamil Gaziev. These are the fat men. It wouldn't be a pay-per-view, or it wouldn't be an early prelims of a pay-per-view if you didn't have two fat men, morbidly obese humans battling it out to see who can get to the KFC line first. Like, who gets the fast food first? Who gets the Maccas first? But Martin Buday versus Shamil Gaziev, they're both morbidly obese, they're both fat. Buday's slightly less fat, so that automatically gives him an advantage. Buday actually looked solid in his last fight. He fought Josh Parisian, he looked good with the pressure. He doesn't have a lot of power in his hands. Gaziev definitely has the power advantage. In his Contender Series fight, he dropped the guy pretty early into the fight, but he didn't look that good. Like, he got a submission, but he ended up getting reversed at one point by just some fat heavyweight. And I'm not going to trust, when you're fighting unranked guys on, like, just fat other heavyweights on the regional scene, they aren't that good. Martin Buday has the UFC experience, so I do think he is going to know what to do here. I think he's got the better cardio as well. Just look at the two of them. Gaziev looking like the Santa Belly. Martin Buday at least tucks the fat into his shorts with his Gaziev is rolling, the fat's rolling like over the top of the belt line. So Martin Buday, I think he's going to be in better shape. I think he's going to use the pressure to great effect. And I think he's just going to... He doesn't have a lot of power, so I think he is going to just kind of pick him apart on the feet. Just keep jabbing him at range. Low kicks. Hold him up against the fence for quite a bit. Gas him out. I'm going to go with a 30-27 unanimous decision for Martin Buday, but he could get a TKO if Shamil gasses really bad, but I think he doesn't have that much finish. Like, he subbed Parisian with a Kimura, which is good, so Gaziev's got a decent top game. If he gets on top, it's fat heavyweights, so the fatter heavyweight is just going to hold them down. But I do see Gaziev gassing out a bit. So even if he wins the first round, maybe it's a 29-28, but I think Buday gets it done. We move on to the next fight. Andre Fili versus Lucas Almeida. Andre Fili's nickname is Touchy, which is ridiculous, but I'm here for it. Fair play. We got Raw Dog on this card in the co-main, and then we got a guy by the name of Touchy. So we got some sus nicknames here, but Fili's record, you look at him, 22-10. That's a pretty bad record if you look at it on paper, but it's pretty deceiving. Like, the losses, Nathaniel Wood, Joannis and Brito, Bryce Mitchell, Sadiq Youssef, Michael Johnson, Kelvin Cater, Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway. None of those are bad losses to have on your record. Lucas Almeida's really fought no one. He beat Mike Trezano, who's now no longer in the UFC. Fili also beat the GOAT Lobov, so he should win this fight, but I expect Fili to just be better everywhere. Give Almeida not many moments. I think he doesn't have a hell of a lot of finishing potential, so I do see a decision win here. He could crack him maybe, but I don't know. And I don't see him subbing him. That has been Almeida's weakness in the past, so I could see Fili just holding ground and pound, ground control, but I don't see him finishing the fight. So I'm going to go with Andre Touchy Fili by unanimous decision. 30-27, I think he gets it done pretty easily. Next fight on the card, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Cody Durden. We got an inbred Russian versus a potential racist. Durden fought Aoy Chalang and he had to send him back to China where he came from. Ulanbekov has been out for a while, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like the inactivity. He's not super young, but I do think he is better. Durden got subbed by Jimmy Flick. That's all you really need to know. Jimmy Flick is not good at fighting at all. Ulanbekov's only recent loss was Tim Elliott. That's not a bad loss. Tim Elliott cheated a bunch in that fight too. He's also just a veteran who's kind of hard to get wins over at times. What else we got here? 3 of Durden's 4 losses are by submission, the most recent one being by guillotine. Tagir has 3 guillotine subs out of his last 7 wins, so I do see Tagir wrapping up the neck. Durden doesn't have bad takedown defense, but I do think the threat of the takedown will cause enough problems on the feet where I do think it'll force a scramble. Tagir might wrap up the neck. So I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov, round 2 submission with a guillotine. I don't rate Durden's stand-up all that much either. I think he is going to look to offensively wrestle, but Ulanbekov being Dagestani, he's got a great takedown defense rate, obviously, so I don't see Durden having a lot of success here. Next fight on the card is Alonzo Menifeild versus Dustin Jacoby. Alonzo Menifeild is severely autistic. He's absolutely odd human being. He's coached by Pat Barry, who has to speak with a black sense for him to understand him. If you see Pat Barry, you look at him in the Jimmy Crute fight, he was staring Jimmy Crute down across the cage. Bro, he's not a teenager. Calm down, Pat Barry. But Jacoby coming off a great win, KO win over Kennedy and Zedruku. His striking is actually really solid. I rate his striking a lot. Jacoby fought Roundtree. Robbery in a lot of people's eyes. I do think he won that fight. Rountree's looking really good now, so that loss, I guess you could say, hasn't aged badly at all. I do think Jacoby's going to have a major striking advantage. I do think he's got the reach advantage here too. Menifeild looks like he's going to be some major explosive one-shot hitter-quitter power, but he hasn't really just fully chinned someone in a while. He went to war with Jimmy Crute. He subbed him in the rematch, but he went to war in the first fight. And if you're going to war with Jimmy Crute, who's autistic and terrible at striking, then I just can't trust you against a glory kickboxer who's actually pretty good at striking with Jacoby. He's going to be way better on the feet. He's going to light him up with kicks and punches. Menifield's going to look to swing in with big shots like a retard, and I think he's going to get countered. I'm going with Dustin Jacoby by round 2 TKO. Counter right hand. I reckon he's going to catch him coming in, and then I think he's going to throw some ground and pound, and it'll be done. But those are the early prelims. We'll move up to the prelims, and it's Casey O'Neill versus Ariane Lipski. So King Casey O'Neill versus the Queen of Violence, Ariane Lipski. Do we have an intergender matchup on our hands here? I'm not sure. We're going to have to find out. But Lipski's hotter, but that's not how things work in an MMA. It's just unfortunate. We'd like to see the more attractive people win. We'd like to see the champions, be a bit more appealing for the eye candy, but it's not how it goes. So Casey O'Neill looks like she's fucking been injected with Botox and looks horrible, but regardless, she also sounds like a retard. She sounds like she's got Down syndrome. But O'Neill ain't that good, but Lipski lost to Molly McCann and got finished by Shevchenko's irrelevant sister. So Lipski, I don't rate her actual fighting that highly. I won't be scoring this fight. I'll be looking at something else, if you know what I'm saying. But Casey looked okay against Jennifer Maia, who's actually not bad. Jennifer Maia is one of those girls who actually has a pretty solid boxing base and she's one of the rare women's MMA fighters that doesn't look like a tard when they're throwing strikes. So Maia's not bad. Lipski's 3-3 in her last 6, 5-5 in her last 10. She's just never able to really hit the stride, get on a win streak. So Casey O'Neill, I expect her to come back better after her first loss. She's going to be way physically stronger here, obviously being potentially male. But overall grappling advantage, more pop in her shots. I could see a TKO, but I think it'll go long. Casey O'Neill, 29-28 unanimous decision. Lipski's probably going to have a few moments. I think she'll be quicker and a bit smoother with the striking, but when Casey O'Neill lands, I do think the reactions are going to be worse from the side of Lipski. So we move on to the next fight, Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Kelleher. We got No Love versus Boom. I'm going to have to go with Boom as far as the nicknames goes, but I'm picking Cody Garbrandt. He's got no chin, so picking him is always risky, but Kelleher ain't really beat anyone good. He's like 37 years of age. Cody Bundage. Cody Garbrandt, I've named 3 different Codys. Regardless, he's got the athleticism and skill to get it done. The chin is gone, but he still fights, like he still has the skill of a young fighter. He still moves like a young fighter, but he just can't take shots. But Kelleher ain't all that much of a power puncher. He's not really putting guys out. Cody's losses are only to really good fighters, Dillashaw twice, Kai Kara-France, Font, and Munoz. Not bad losses at all. I see the takedowns being open for Cody too. If you look at the Trevin Jones fight, he was very patient, but he did time a lot of takedowns, and he looked great at some moments in that fight, but he just looked very cautious. But I think here, he's going to be a bit more confident, open up a little bit. I could see him getting a TKO, but I think he plays it really safe, and just really uses the speed, stays out of range. He does have a bit of power, Cody Garbrandt, but I just don't see him really swinging in close. I don't see him brawling here. I do think he's going to really try and get his second win in a row, feel confident. He's going to be undefeated in 2023 if he wins this, and I think he gets a 30-27 decision. Next fight on the card, Irene Aldana versus Karol Rosa, otherwise known as the piss break of the card. This is where you just go get all the, you get the beers, you get all the stuff that you need, you get all the food, you get the Uber Eats, but no one cares about this fight, let's be real. Aldana went from main eventing a pay-per-view to the prelims, that's tough. Check her record, Rosa hasn't beat anyone good, let's be honest. She's, decent, I guess, but, 2-2 in her last 4. She really doesn't look impressive. Doesn't have power, doesn't have a submission game. She's just one of the average women's fighters that just isn't good anywhere, and is just mid in all aspects, including looks, as is Aldana. But Aldana at least has a bit of pop in her hands. She has finished fighters, she finished Ketlin Vieira, I'm pretty sure. She finished Macy Chasson with that up kick to the body. I think she'll have a major striking advantage, power advantage. Official prediction, UD for Aldana. TKO of Rosa is super shit, but I do think Aldana's going to just be looking to get a win, coming off that bad performance against Nunes. But I think she's 35, which is a bit worrying, but I think she's going to be more confident here, and look to right that wrong from her last fight. Moving on, Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. This is a short notice fight, which does aid towards my prediction of Josh Emmett. We got the inbred Bryce Mitchell versus the goblin Josh Emmett. Based Mitchell could win using the power of the Bible. Bryce has the inbred farm strength, so that is a potential advantage. He is very strong in the grappling, of course, but Emmett's losses have mostly been on the feet. He got cooked up by Yair, but even against Yair, he did land some big shots. He always has that power. He always got a great chin. I don't see Mitchell taking the shots as well. And then Topuria fucked up Bryce Mitchell as well. So, not an awful loss. He did get pieced up, but let's be real. Emmett, that was just a better boxer style than him. I don't think Bryce is going to be better than Emmett on the feet. I think he might have a few more weapons. He throws the kicks a little bit more, but I do think Emmett's going to be way more powerful. I think his short, kind of stocky, strong frame and build is going to cause Bryce to miss a few of his takedowns. And I think just having this big, physically strong, imposing guy in there who can turn your lights off with one shot, when you miss a takedown, I think Bryce is going to kind of freak out a little bit. We see even against Ige or Topuria, at moments he just kind of shat himself and just kind of covers up a little bit and doesn't know what to do. He's in his element when he can latch onto the body lock and try and get you to the ground like he did against Barboza, but Ige arguably fight could have gone to Ige on damage. I picked Mitchell to win that, but he almost lost. Ige and Emmett had a close fight, which went to Emmett. It is what it is. Dan Ige's a guy that does historically get taken down a lot later in fights. Josh Emmett hasn't been taken down heaps. He got taken down by Topuria, but I'm not even going to count those because that was just, he was getting beat up on the feet and he was just hardly seeing anything. But ultimately, I think Emmett's going to have way more confidence in the stand-up. Against Yair and Topuria, he's worried about the clean counters, way more power coming back at him, way more speed coming back at him, but I don't think he's going to have that here. He's also been preparing for Giga, while that's not going to have him prepared for the grappling, I do think he's going to be super switched on the feet, way better than Bryce Mitchell. And I think he's just going to march him down, catch him with big shots. Mitchell's going to panic shoot. He's going to get stuffed. I could see Mitchell panic shoot, Emmett gets like an underhook and just kind of slams him over, like just turns him over onto the bottom. And then I think he gets ground and pound on. I think he gets a finish. So it's a risky call. Josh Emmett's a pretty big underdog, or almost plus 200, but I'm going to go with Josh Emmett by round 1 TKO. Overhand right and then ground and pound is what I'm going to go with here. I think he gets it done. But we move on to the main card. Ian Garry versus Vicente Luque. We got the Cuck Chardo Ian Garry, the soy boy vegan, versus the Chad Brazilian, the Jesus-loving Brazilian. Gary's unbelievably soy, but unfortunately, he is pretty good at fighting. It's like one of those Adesanya or O'Malley situations when the guy's just an absolute abomination of a person, and you're like, why does this guy have fans? How is this guy relevant in any way? But he is pretty good at fighting, which is unfortunate. Luque, though, I see his only path to victory as brawling and trying to get in close and catch him with big shots, but he's kind of gone away from that, especially in his RDA fight, coming off that Jeff Neal KO loss, which has really done bad things to him. I just don't see him being as willing to get in the fight. He might just go back to old Vicente Luque, who would just brawl with everyone, like the Mike Perry Vicente Luque, and just try and chin Ian Garry, but I don't know, I just don't see it happening. Ian's going to make an absolute fool out of himself during fight week. He's going to get verbally abused at the press conference. And post-fight, I think he's going to win. He's going to say some retarded shit. He's going to make a speech, act like he's being targeted, say like, oh, I was feared for my family's life. People online, they have real effects what you say. He's going to say some bullshit like this. Everyone's going to get pissed off at him. But I do think he's just going to smoke Luque. You know, he beat up Magny like Magny beats his kids. Like, it's tough. So I don't see it going well for Luque. I just don't see him being good enough everywhere. He's got the power advantage for sure, but apart from that, he does have decent grappling, but I just think Ian Garry's gonna have enough tools to get this one done. I think he's gonna chew him up with kicks, like rain. I know he doesn't have a massive reach advantage. I think he might even have a reach disadvantage, but he is very good at using his reach, so it always seems like he's got a really long reach advantage. So I think he's gonna chew him up, and I think he might get a TKO. I'm going to go with round 3 TKO, leg kicks, and then ground punches, ground and punches, ground and pound, that kind of thing. Just really chew him up, and Luque's going to kind of shell up towards the end of the cage. And it's going to be like a Magny situation, but this time he is going to get the finish. It could go distance, definitely. Luque could chin him, but I just don't see it happening this time. I think Ian Garry, we're going to have to put up with him for a little bit longer before Shovcut cooks him. Next fight on the card, though, we move on. Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson. This one's tough. It's another tough one. It's another one where I want my pick to be wrong. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett by submission. I really don't want to be right, though. Fucking hell. It's tough for Paddy. So it's tough for Tony, man. This is going to be super sad. All my homies hate Paddy Pimblett. We don't want him to win. Hopefully Tony just comes out there like prime Tony and just cooks Paddy up and fucking elbows that cunt's fucking head. Like, hopefully he just whacks him up. But I don't know. I just don't see it happening. Tony just looks really physically weak. Got subbed by Bobby Green. Like, he's going for him and eye rolls. He's fighting like he has the prime skill and athleticism, but he just doesn't. And I can see that getting him in trouble. If he thinks he can just be on bottom against Paddy and like wrap up a triangle, it's just not going to happen. Paddy's way bigger than him. He's a large lightweight. Like, he is fat, but he does trim down, and he is pretty muscle bound, and he's pretty big at lightweight once he cuts down. So he's going to be way physically stronger. He's going to hold top position super effectively, I do believe. The striking is where Tony can make some things happen, but I don't see it being enough. Like, Tony's got good, he does have a bit of thud in his shots, like he knocked Green a bit off balance, but Green's a guy who does kind of get cracked and dropped occasionally. We saw him just get cooked up by Jalen Turner. He got KO'd by Dober. Like, we do see Green get put down quite a bit. And Green wasn't even looking that good against Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon was arguably beating Bobby Green until that headbutt, so I just don't see it going well. Goggins' torture program's probably ruined Tony. He's going to have like no energy, no strength. I just don't see this going well for him. He's going to take him down, physically strong on top. Tony's going to try and do some dumb shit and just get mushed. Official call, I'm going to go with Pimblett round 3 submission, and I don't think Tony's going to tap. I think he goes out. I really don't want to see it, but I think it's what's going to happen. Next fight on the card, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Stephen Thompson. We got the 41-year-old karate instructor versus the Chad Kazakh who missed his sister's funeral to train. You know, he's got his priorities in order. I really see this going terribly for Wonderboy, and I think he gets TKO'd or maybe even KO'd. I just got a feeling Shavkat's going to do him really badly here. He's going to fear the takedown, and that's going to open up openings on the feet. That's going to allow Shavkat to land more shots on the feet. He's going to shoot early, Shavkat. He's going to try and get Wonderboy to square up a little bit. We know Wonderboy's got that real sideways karate stance style. That's going to open up really easy single legs for Shavkat. So I think he gets a few takedowns early, holds him down a little bit, ends up in the clinch at some point. Wonderboy might work his way back up early in the fight, but then he's going to square up a little bit. He's not going to be as fluent on the feet. He's not going to be as free. And I think Shavkat's going to fake the level changes a lot. He's going to land a lot of knees to the body too in the clinch. A lot of elbows too in close. I think that tie clinch is going to be really good for Shavkat. He's got one of the best clinch games in the division. But I think he's going to fake level change. Wonderboy's going to lower his stance a little bit, try and sprawl, and then he's going to get cracked with a knee. I think Shavkat's going to get a step-in knee, rock Wonderboy badly, maybe get a few elbows or something, and then go to ground and pound, and I think he finishes him. I just see it going terribly for Stephen Thompson. His striking's elite, but when there is that immense, takedown threat, which is going to be in the back of his mind, I think Shavkat might come out there and just be like, fuck it, I'm standing with this guy. I'm going to shoot a few times, but I'm really going to try and get this done on the feet and make a statement, because I do think if Shavkat finishes Wonderboy, I think he jumps the line and gets a title shot over Bilal. I do believe that. But I'm going Shavkat Rakhmonov by round 2 TKO. I'm going with a knee to the face and then elbows and then in the clinch, and then he gets him down and he gets ground and pound and puts him away. I think it could go very badly. If Shavkat just comes out with a grappling approach, he definitely could just sub him. But I don't know. I'm just not loving this fight for Wonderboy. I don't see it going well for him. And yeah, he's going to lose, and I think he's going to get finished badly. Next fight on the card, the co-main event. Alessandro Pantoja versus Brandon Raw Dog Royval. The Cannibal versus Raw Dog. It's a tough battle in terms of who wins the nickname contest. I'm going to lean towards Raw Dog as far as the nickname contest, but I think Pantoja's going to get this one done. He's already lapping the division. He already beat Moreno 3 times. He's beat Cap. He's already beat Royval. He beat, I think, did he beat Nicolau or something? Or he beat someone else, but he beat Schnell. He's just beaten everyone. On the feet, I just think Royval, he's slightly technically better, but he is a bit chinny, and I can see him getting cracked. Pantoja, he does so well in the wild exchanges. He cracked Moreno earlier, and Moreno's got a great chin. So I think Pantoja's going to have a power advantage. Royval's going to be a bit quicker and a little bit technically cleaner on the feet, but I think Pantoja just tucks his chin a bit better and takes the shots in close. So I see Pantoja getting the better of the wild exchanges if they happen, and then on the ground, Pantoja's got a real good position over submission approach. He's not rolling around like a maniac for crazy shit. He gets the back. He's so good at taking the back, and once he gets the back, Royval's going to spaz out of nowhere, try and spaz and get out of there. Royval, when they're not rolling for knee bars, rolling for ankles and shit, rolling for everything. But I do see Pantoja taking his back if they end up on the ground, and I think he could sub him on the ground. But what I think is going to happen, I see Pantoja landing well on the feet, maybe rocks. I think they're both going to rock each other, but Royval's going to really wobble when he gets, he's going to wobble in you guys. But when he gets cracked, I think the reaction from Royval is going to be way worse. I think Pantoja takes him down, or maybe gets the backs standing, not the body triangle, but gets has back position like a body lock, and then trips him out, takes him to the ground, gets his back, and I think he subs him. Official prediction, I'm going with Pantoja round 1 sub with a rear naked choke. I could see him even finishing Royval with strikes, but I'm going to go with a sub. I think Royval's just going to be a bit too, he's going to be anticipating a real wild fight, and I think Pantoja's going to it's going to seem wild, but Pantoja's actually going to be pretty technical in there. So I see him getting it done. I see him finishing Brandon Royval inside the first couple rounds, and it's going to be a bad night for Brandon Raw Dog Royval. Pantoja gets his first title defense, and I think he is going to be a long-reigning champion in this division. But we move on to the main event. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. Rocky versus Chaos. Good nicknames. I'm going to go with an even draw as far as the nickname goes. But we got an Afro-Caribbean versus a white American as far as the ethnic battle goes. But Colby's long layoff, I don't think he's going to do him any favours. I don't see this going well for him coming back after a long layoff. He historically, when he takes a long time off and then fights again, he starts slow. He can be a slow starter a lot of the time. He started fast against Masvidal, but that was after like a 4-month turnaround. But normally when he takes big layoffs, he starts slow. Like in the Usman rematch, he started slow. Even in the Woodley fight, he didn't start all that quick. He doesn't really shoot often early in the fight. When he's fighting like the better kind of fighters like Woodley, Usman. So I see that going the same with Leon. Against Masvidal, he just kind of shot and wanted to bully him straight away, but I don't see that same thing happening. Leon is a way better fighter than Masvidal, way better striker, way better grappler as well. Leon's way better on the feet. He's faster, he's more powerful, he's got better countering ability too, and he's just got more, like, he's just got that on the feet. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Colby's is not all that dangerous on the feet. He's just going to be trying to do the Marab, and I don't see that working against Leon, who's got great get-ups, who's got great takedown defense to begin with. So I think a lot of the early shots in the first 3 rounds aren't going to work for Colby. And I could even see, I don't think he's going to gas at all, obviously, but I don't think he's going to push the same pace and just be relentless with the takedowns. It's easy to just wrestle for 25 minutes when you're constantly getting the guy down and he's not resisting. Like, Masvidal really didn't show a lot of resistance in that fight, but Leon, he gets up well, he stuffs takedowns to begin with, and I think Leon's going to have a really good time in the clinch. Normally that's where Colby can kind of wear on you and stuff, but I think Leon is going to get in the clinch, he's going to get that tie plum, and I think he's going to land good elbows and good knees to Colby Covington, who's just not going to be as physically strong or as big in there as Leon. But I can see him trying to figure out the stand-up early. I can see Colby coming in and just kind of fighting it like the Usman fight. Like, chilling, we're not doing too much, trying to measure the range, trying to figure out how Leon's going. And then he's going to get cracked up with a lot of kicks. I think he's going to get kicked to the body badly, kicked to the legs a lot. And Leon's just going to start faster than him and kind of catch him off guard. I do think that's going to happen. But he's going to go a few low-effort takedowns. I think he's going to kind of just shoot in just to try and get a hold of Leon. But I think he's going to get countered way easier. Like, Usman's not a guy that throws knees and stuff or like punishes you when you come in. He'll stuff your takedown by all means, but then you kind of end up in the clinch and then you separate. But Leon's a guy who I think he's going to throw knees. He's going to like knee him in the face, coming and throw elbows on the break and stuff, and really make you pay for shooting. So I don't think Colby's going to do too well here. I don't think his takedowns early are going to be effective. If he can kind of wear on Leon and just avoid the big shots, then I can see him taking over in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. But I think Leon's cardio really ain't bad. Like, people are talking like Colby's just got miles better cardio than him. Leon went a hard 5 with Usman. Like, he's not going to gas here. This fight isn't at altitude. Colby coming back after a long layoff too, I don't think his pacing's going to be as good, and I think Leon's going to just tune him up on the feet. But yeah, that's what I see happening. Range is going to tear Colby apart with the kicks. Leon got caught with a lot of body kicks by Masvidal as well, even, who's not even a big kicker for the most part. Even when Colby throws offensive striking, it ain't that good. He kind of just throws flurries of punches, and I don't see that. And he doesn't have the sting on them. Like, Usman really had the sting on them. In the rematch when he fought Usman, when Leon fought Usman, Usman really was just physically him in there with the striking, just kind of charging him down. But that was at altitude. Leon was gassing as well. That didn't happen in the trilogy. And I know you can say the knees and stuff, but then Usman then went on to almost beat Khamzat Chimaev. So there should be this narrative that Usman's washed. I think that was a great performance from Leon, the best of his career by far. And yeah, he went a hard 5 with Usman, so I don't see him struggling the cardio against Colby that much. He stuffed a lot of Usman's takedowns, and I think Usman's takedown accuracy and his just ability to take you down is better than Colby's. Colby's better at chain wrestling and wearing on you, and like, he's got good punches in bunches, but I do think Colby's going to crack him, and I think Leon's used to just throwing punches and pressure on guys and they kind of cover up, but I think Leon's going to be able to like circle off, angle off, and land some big shots. So I'm going to go with Leon Edwards with a round 3 TKO, body kicks / knees, like cook him to the body, and then I think he's going to get ground and pound. I think he's going to finish Colby Covington. But those are the predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. It's a great card this weekend. I won't be streaming, unfortunately. I'm going to be having mates over, but enjoy the fights as always. It's going to be a fucking sick card. First prelim, Randy Brown vs Salikhov. Like, that shows you how good this card is. There's multiple ranked fights on the prelims as well. But Like the video, otherwise you have to consume Ian Garry's soy diet. Subscribe, otherwise you get the Paddy cut next time you go to the barber. Comment your predictions and you'll be blessed by Bryce Mitchell's Bible. Follow my Instagram left, or else you get raw dogged by a raw dog. And then share the video, otherwise Shamil Gaziev is going to sit on you. But thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, predictions, all that. Peace out everybody, see ya.